Hello. In this video, we will look at how to configure QC protocols in Clarity LIMS. In the Lab View dashboard of Clarity LIMS, one thing you notice about QC protocols is that the number of samples queued up for each step do not add up to the total number of samples in this QC protocol. And that is because for a QC protocol, samples may be queued up for multiple QC steps. This way, you're not limited to a specific order of QCing your sample. At the same time, what governs the sample availability for each step is the filter setting behind that QC step in the protocol configuration. Let's look at the configuration of this DNA initial QC protocol. You will notice that a QC protocol can always be set up in this format: a couple of parallel QC techniques, followed by an aggregate QC step. Samples will be queued up first for the QC steps, and then based on the filter setting, be queued up for aggregate QC, where the QC results will be aggregated and samples can be moved out of the QC protocol. For example, let's look at the filter setting for the bioanalyzer QC step. By clicking on the toolbar, I can access the filter setting under Filters. Currently, the filter says Bioanalyzer QC not pass. With this setting, any sample that does not carry a pass flag for Bioanalyzer QC in either an un-QC state or a failed QC state will be queued up for the Bioanalyzer QC. All of the individual QC steps will carry a filter setting like this. However, if you look at the filter setting of aggregate QC, you'll notice that currently it says nanodrop pass or bioanalyzer pass or qubit pass or picogram pass. This filter setting determines that once the sample carries one of these QC passes, it will be queued up for aggregate QC. To add an additional filter, simply choose the logic here and select the configured QC steps in this protocol and choose your value. Then say Add Filter. Now we have just added the OR tape station QC equals pass as an additional filter. Save the step. Based on this filter setting, we can now see on the LabVIEW dashboard that there are currently 7 samples that carry at least one QC pass from one of the above QC techniques. Let's now look at recording the aggregate QC step in Clarity LIMS. On the Record Details screen, I'm prompted to enter the source step and the source field to be copied over to the sample's user-defined fields for concentration and concentration units and potentially other fields. They are configured as drop-down for the user to select whether to use the qubit QC, concentration, or use the bioanalyzer as the concentration source. In this example, if I were to use the qubit measurement from previous QC step and copy them over to the samples field, I would choose qubit and the field's name to initiate the copying by clicking this button here. To add to the drop-down list of the copy fields, go to your operations interface, go to Configure Details and Fields and choose the corresponding aggregate QC step. And double-click on the copy task that you would like to add to. You can simply go to Preset Values and add another QC method, or go to the source field and add another field for selection. Now coming back to the Record Details page, you will notice that the user now can choose tape station DNA in addition to the other sources for copying the concentration unit fields. Following this video, you may set up a new QC protocol or modify your existing QC protocol by adding or removing QC steps, changing QC filter settings, changing filter setting for aggregate QC, and also changing the fields drop-down list for the aggregate QC step.